At COP30, AGRA pushed leaders to turn climate promises into action for Africa's smallholder farmers who are already adapting through homegrown innovations. They urged investments that reach farmers and rural economies with soil health and resilient seeds at the center. With increasing pressure on land, less space is available for food production. Combined with ongoing soil degradation, this poses a serious threat to future yields. But in Kiambu County, a biointensive farming institute is rewriting this narrative, showing how small plots can feed families sustainably through organic methods, including the breeding of red earthworms for natural fertilizer. At the same time, these methods protect the environment and shift the narrative on climate change.
As we are moving, as you see, the world is going, the land is becoming too small. So we need people to have the knowledge of farming, like this system we have here. We normally focus on small scale farmers because the lands are getting smaller as we grow. So we train them in the biointensive system of farming so that in the coming future, they will have that knowledge to farm within a small space and produce large amounts of quantities of food, and which are safe because here we do agroecology.
About 40 kilometers north of Nairobi, along the Thika Garissa Road, sits an emerging agricultural hub. The Grow Biointensive Agriculture Center of Kenya, known as GBIAC, in Thika, Kiambu County.
And with global intensive, I mean focusing on small pieces of land so that farmers employ the principles of global intensive so that they produce maximum and of course they will produce maximum food for consumption and also extra for income generation.
Founded in 2009 by Sam Nderitu and Peris Nderitu, GBIAC promotes a closed-loop farming system where nothing goes to waste and every space is optimized.
Closed-loop system is where farmers utilize the resources that are within the farm without getting anything from outside. They don't import anything, any resource, any input from outside. So there's no external input that are employed or are applied in this farm. And that's what we teach our farmers. That entails what we call a circular economy within the farm, so that when I produce this food, I'll get the food itself for eating, but I'll have the trash or the crop residues that remain that I'll feed my livestock, and then the livestock will produce manure, and the manure will come back into the soil.
Today, Mr. Nderitu holds a special class with visiting students from Italy, proof that the skills developed here are spreading across continents. As land continues to shrink due to population pressure, the Nderitus believe global biointensive techniques could be key to preventing malnutrition for many families. Every small space is put to productive use.
There's a big challenge right now in terms of land subdivisions. You know, companies are buying land and subdividing into tiny pieces so that people can buy and put there their houses, their buildings. And, you know, they are also targeting farms where food has been produced before. And so that reduces food production in Kenya.
To maximize minimal space, innovative methods are used for shallow-rooted crops.
Yeah, there are different techniques that very small, tiny farmers can use. They can use containers to produce food. But at the same time, if they have banana stems that are big, they can use them again to produce vegetables within the stem. So that now, because they have small, tiny farms, they can do holes in the banana stem, put some soil, and plant vegetables like spinach. They can also do lettuce in the stem, and that helps to increase production of food or vegetables in the small piece of land.
At GBIAC, every part of the less than 2-acre farm counts. Portable sack gardens filled with onions, lettuce, kale, garlic, and spinach dot the compound. Crops are planted closely together to maximize yield per square meter. And despite the density, the couple explains that plants don't struggle for nutrients because each bed is prepared with rich compost.
You find that most people don't have knowledge on how to produce well, because they just go to the internet, they Google, then they start farming, and in the long end, they fail. The crops fail, and they shift away from agriculture. If we plant carbon crops in larger areas, and also in terms of an environment, we plant agroforestry trees. We can use the residues, the leaves and other parts of the plant, we decompose them, thereby reducing the amount of carbon in the air and fixing back to the soil, because carbon is a compound that binds together the nutrients in the soil, which makes them available to the crops, yes.
The call at COP30 is reflected in the newly adopted Berlin Declaration on Hunger, Poverty, and Human-Centered Climate Action, which prioritizes communities most vulnerable to climate shocks.
At COP30, GBIAC has been very well represented. Personally, I've not attended, but we have been represented there by our partners like Pesticides Action Network that has gone there with our case study, our 15 years of work since we started this organization. So we have taken our voice there to show that agroecology is a practice that should be implemented, that should work. And it is working all over, because if you can look at our farm, this is agroecology. And so we are asking and requesting partners or partner countries that are of our, are doing the same things as what we wish to be done, that we should partner together so that we employ the practices and the principles of agroecology all over.
The Nderitus have trained farmers from Kenya and neighboring countries, with about 40 farmers visiting monthly for short courses.
I've learned to make compost. I've learned how to preserve seeds for future growth and maybe for further use in nearby years to come. I've learned how to plant food organically, not using chemicals.
I'm interested in doing agriculture because that is my passion. I don't want to do that white collar jobs, going there looking about the oceans jobs, but I'm concerned with agriculture, to do sustainable agriculture, because nowadays people are thinking that cancer is just coming because of inheritance. But for me, I've discovered that it's not only the inheritance, but the food we are consuming, because many farmers are using synthetics. So I'm here to engage in organic farming.
Even right now, as we are talking, people are more engaging in chemical foods, and some of them are engaging in smart agriculture. And as you can see, even right now, those smart agriculture, they contain chemicals which can affect our life.
Organic farming is becoming common across the country, offering a healthier, safer alternative for enriching the soil.
In this farm, we give options to farmers on how to fertilize their soils. And when farmers come here, they will ask us what options they can use so that they can build their soils. One of the options is the use of vermiculture. Vermiculture means that we are culturing worms or earthworms. They are called the red wigglers. We have more than 350 types of worms.
The presence of earthworms signals healthy soil, while excessive chemicals kill vital microbes. Only crops grown on the farm are used for composting to prevent external pests and diseases. Red earthworms are bred to produce organic top-dressing fertilizer.
This is the biggest indicator that your soil is fertile, because this is the only worm, one of the worms that you see with your naked eyes. There is millions of bacteria in here, beneficial bacteria, but these are the ones that you show.
Rabbits are also reared not only for meat, but for their nutrient-rich urine collected in special hatches.
Rabbit urine contains high amount of nitrogen, And the vermi tea or the worm tea contains different elements, different nutrients, depending on the materials that were put there. If the materials were, the materials that the worms were eating had maybe potassium, like the Russian comfrey, it means that you have supplied potassium in there. But the rabbits feeds on the green and sometimes dry materials and sometimes some pellets, so they produce nitrogenous element, mostly nitrogen. But making sure that you cannot apply this liquid the way it is right now. You must make sure that you ferment it.
Africa's climate future is taking shape here through farmers restoring soil fertility, youth embracing regenerative farming, women leading community seed systems, and rural enterprises building climate-smart value chains grounded in local solutions.
Agroecology is the only way. It's the only route that will help this world to produce sufficient food and also to make sure that our environment is catered care of. Because conventional farming has destroyed our farming systems.
The tour in this farm shows the example of climate-smart farming. For instance, vermiculture and biointensive planting, which help in food production and also create economic resilience in the midst of climate pressures that affect farming and farming that also affect climate. Eunice Omolo, KMB Media, Thika, Kiambu County.